It was actually something I got involved in when I was a young kid. I was in the ninth grade and I was taking a television production class in high school. The teacher walked in one day and said the local radio station was looking for part-timers and they were willing to pay up to $5 an hour, which at the time was a lot of money because minimum wage was, I think, 3.25. So I went up, applied, got the job, and got hooked doing it, and I've been pretty much involved ever since. It kind of marriages the two things I've sort of loved to do, which is to teach students and to be in radio. I knew I wanted to do something more than just be a typical radio on-air personality. I wanted to work with students to be able to teach them the things that I knew and to teach them how to do good radio. So it just seemed to be a natural thing to go back, get my master's degree, and work in college radio. I find that a lot of people that work for non-commercial radio stations typically are volunteers, and they seem a lot more passionate about the things that they do, whereas in commercial radio, while you find people that have passion, it's just not quite as big as those folks that seem to work at commercial or non-commercial radio stations that really enjoy what they're doing. They're doing it really for either little or no pay, and they're still having fun with it. I listened to a couple of local radio stations back at where I grew up in Minnesota, KEEZ or Z99, which is actually the place where I got one of my first radio jobs. That was a station I listened to. There was also a 96.7 KDOG, which was another kind of competitive station. I listened to both those quite frequently when I was growing up. I think the role should be to A, inform, and B, entertain. I still think there's a place out there for radio as an information vehicle to inform people about the truths in this society. And I think radio can also be a place where if you sort of want to forget about all the politics and things like that, it should be a place to go to just sort of listen to music, have some fun, and just sort of forget about things for a while. In the future, people may have to do things such as start paying to listen to radio stations on the internet. We obviously haven't gotten there yet, but it is something that could happen if this loss of net neutrality stays where it is. I understand the governmental oversight of the FCC, but sometimes I think the more they sort of stay out of and let us do our job, the better our job will be. I think too many rules and regulations causes too many problems. So again, I see the need for governmental regulation. I just hope they don't go overboard with the governmental regulations. I sort of just like being able to try to paint pictures rather than having the pictures right there for me. It's just something I've always believed in, I've always enjoyed, and something I'll continue to probably enjoy for the rest of my life. WLFR does a wide range of shows. Being a non-commercial station, again, we can kind of do things such as being sort of a free-form station. We have hip-hop shows, we have Latin shows, we have synth-pop shows, we had a show on Japanese funk, ambient music, indie music, gospel music. The nice thing about it is you can just sort of find the range. So if there's something that you like, you can tune in at a certain time, or if you're just a fan of a little bit of everything, you can listen throughout the day and maybe find something new. WLFR is doing fine in terms of listenership. Again, we are a small radio station in terms of wattage, but we get the most out of that, and we have listeners that really enjoy what we do. Well, it's been interesting. I've been here now a little over a year. When I came in, there were a lot of people that were afraid that I was going to really change things and sort of blow it up and start over, but that wasn't really my plan. My plan was to take what was already established and just work with the people here to make what they have better. And I think that's sort of been my job as the general manager, is not to come and make big wholesale changes, but just to help everybody, whether it be a student or a community member, improve what they're doing. I still think radio is a viable media. In fact, there are jobs. The percentage of jobs in radio right now is going up because a lot of people are looking at a more localized media, and I think the easiest way sometimes to do that is with radio stations. You'll have a lot of small towns that won't have television stations, but will have radio stations, and that's how they're gonna be able to keep track of everything that's going on in their community. So I think radio is definitely still a very viable option here in 2018 and beyond.